It is one of the first important descriptions of what mindfulness is. You're actually here watching what's going on, rather than some cloud cuckoo land, la la land in the fantasies of the past or the dreams of the future. But interesting, just mentioning that past, the past, whatever happened to you, is not real. You think that that actually happened, but most of the time it didn't. And I've realized that for a long time because we have arguments about who did what. And these are arguments between two honest people. No one is lying. It's just we've created different versions of the past. And that's one of the reasons why the past is totally unreliable. Once it's gone, it cannot be reached again. You cannot actually recreate it and try and find out what exactly happened and why. Which is one of the reasons it's a total waste of time, trying to recreate the past. We always say the future is uncertain, but actually the same applies to the past. It's too far gone, and your memory is nowhere near accurate enough to understand exactly what happened. Even if you take a photograph, it's only a photograph of one angle. You can never capture the whole of what happened in the past. So when I tell monks, stop fantasizing, that fantasizing also means trying to remember the past. You really don't know what happened. You can't know. And to confirm that, there was one study, and I was cleaning out my room a few days ago, and I found it in there of this Canadian psychologist who was about to retire, and he was cleaning out his files, and he came across one of the studies he did when he was doing research, just a young psychologist, and he interviewed as many children in his US school as he possibly could to ask him about their family life, filling in the questions, interviewing them with very simple black and white yes or no answers, such as, did your parents use corporal punishment on you when you misbehaved, or just send you to the room? Did you love your mum more than your dad? Or the other way around, or equally, did they take you out for excursions or holidays? Simple things like that. Which subject did you like best at school? Which teacher did you like? Simple questions like that. He had all the answers, and it was about 30, 40 years previously, because he was about to retire. And he thought, wouldn't it be interesting to find as many of those young boys and girls now, middle-aged or getting on, sort of old men and old women, find them and ask them the same questions and see if the answers match. Little questions. Did your parents spank you if you got naughty? When 30 years ago they said yes. Now they said, no, they never did that. Did they take you out on excursions? No, they never did that. Oh yeah, they always did that. And what was surprising was just how different were the answers. What they said at the time, which you could probably say is more accurate, did not correspond to their memories of that past. And you would think maybe them, not me, but actually the past is so distant that you cannot recall it. You don't know what happened. You can't find it out anymore because you keep remaking your past every time you remember it. When I realized that, it made life so much easier. I can't go back to the past. I can't recall it. I can't blame anyone, praise anybody, thank anybody, because I just don't know. And I cannot know. Oh, what freedom. Now I don't have to worry anymore. Who was right, who was wrong? Don't know. It's in the past. So that helps you. And it's incredible how people create the past. We create our history. They always say history is written by the winners, and which we all know is very true. And that's also in your life too. If you want something, you rewrite it. How great I was and how stupid they were. But you can't grab that future anymore. And secondly, sometimes when things go wrong in life, sometimes, if you should have said something to your mother and you didn't and now she's dead, Sometimes you think, if I only could have said this, if I'd have done something different. But that's the second thing about the past. People spend so much time going back over the past. It's, oh, if I'd have done something else, if I'd done this. The past is ineffable. Now, they have a word in English called ineffable, which is like a religious, a philosophical word. It means ineffable means it's just too vast. It's just beyond human comprehension. God is ineffable. The universe is ineffable. But I really didn't know what ineffable really meant. But I did know ineffable. You cannot if the past, which is what I mean by ineffable. If I'd have done something else, what would have happened? Who knows? It could have been much better, it could have been much worse, it could have been exactly the same, it could have been totally irrelevant, but who knows? You cannot work out what would have happened. You know, if you said yes to the person who proposed to you instead of no, you said no rather than yes. You know, if you went left rather than right. You can't tell what happened. Which is one of the reasons why, if you say, oh, if I'd only told my mother, you don't know what would have happened. It could have been much worse if you did that. So you don't know and you can't know, which is why the past is ineffable. You know, if instead of becoming a monk, if I'd have fallen in love and got married, what would have happened to me? I haven't got a clue. I might have got really divorced, you know, after 1 year, really suffering, and that suffering would have made me enlightened quicker. Who knows? So that's why you don't look back in the past with any regret. That totally abandons all regret. And people, they live their life with regret. And that is just so sad, because once they get into regret, guilt, shame, or whatever it is, you know, that gets into you and that stops you being happy. And you know, after a while, often people come and ask forgiveness of me, they did something wrong. And quite honestly, I say, what did you do wrong? Don't you remember I said this? I say, no, I don't remember that. And you know, I'm not someone who holds grudges against people or gets angry at people. So look, quite frankly, none of you here need to ask forgiveness at all. Forgiveness for what? For being a crooked tree in the forest? The trees in the forest, when they bend over and get all crooked and bent, they don't ask forgiveness from me for not being straight. And I don't want them to. I like them the way they are. So you don't need to ask forgiveness of me. I like you the way you are. Period. So you have no regrets in life, no guilt, no shame, which means you are free of the past. And that stops a lot of distractions. However, why is it so hard to be in the present moment? Why is it we still keep thinking about the past? And the reason is because we're afraid of being peaceful. It's really true, you know. Sometimes you say, you can be peaceful here, you've got nothing to do. But you're afraid of nothing to do. One of the reasons is because you're not used to it. All your life you've been doing things. All your life you've been thinking, planning, managing, getting things done. And now I say, stop it. Because you've never done that before, you say, how? Just stop it. But how do I do that? Just stop saying how. And then it's natural to be still. But because you're not used to it, you think something must be wrong, I've got to be doing something. Look, this is enlightenment. You've got to work to be enlightened. You know, you've got to do something to get something. No pain, no gain. Ha, ha, ha. What a stupid saying that is. No joy, no gain. No happiness, no success. Those are great teachings. So anyway, you're afraid. So how do we overcome fear? How you overcome fear is every now and again you do get into the present moment. And when you're in the present moment, recognize it. This is what we mean by the present moment. I'm just here. No past, no future. This must be the present moment. I'm not planning where I'm going to go next. I'm not remembering where I just came from. This must be the present moment. So you get to these 3 stages. People like in stages, you know, you're Singaporean, 1, 2, 3, you know, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and BA, MA, PhD, and whatever. When you get stages, you know sort of where you are. So I'm talking your language. It's not Buddhist language, this is your language, stages. In Buddhist language, there are no stages, but in your language, there are. So the stages are recognition. You understand what we mean. And the next stage is familiarity. You recognize it so often, you become familiar with it. Just like there are some people on this retreat, maybe you're all from Singapore, you never met before, maybe you just met here. Maybe you're sharing a cottage with them. And you know, you recognize them now, and after a while you get familiar with them. It's amazing how much bonding happens on just a 9-day retreat. You know, afterwards you invite each other when you go back to Singapore for dinner. You know, come around and come and say hello. It's amazing just how much bonding happens here, because you're staying together, you get used to each other, you get familiar. And after familiarity, you just get to know this present moment, then you become at ease with it. No fear anymore. Which means when the present moment comes, you don't need to control it. You can just hang out with the present moment as long as you like. So those are 3 stages which happen with many things in life: recognition, familiarity, and ease. You get a new job. You don't know where everything is. You've got to recognize who's who and you know what level in the company they are. You've got to be introduced to everybody, find out where the toilets are, where the snack bar is, all this other stuff you have to work out, where your parking space is if you've got one. And then you become familiar with it, and then you know, you're at ease. You know, you just relax there. It's just like a second home. Or like Jhana Grove, those coming for the first time. When you first came, where's my room? How do I get there? And once you recognize where your room is, so you don't go in other people's rooms, you know, you just recognize it. It does happen sometime, you know, because all the cottages look the same. And if you do it, no, cottage number 2, or this is number 3, sorry. But you recognize your place, you're familiar with it. And look, if you're not already, by the end of this week, you know, your room will be like your home. You know, it's my little place, it's my pillow, and you know everything around there, and you know, you're at ease there. Have you ever noticed the first night anywhere, you don't really sleep very well? Because you know, even if it's a comfortable hotel room, you know, because you know, you're not used to it, psychologically it's hard to relax the first night. The second night you can relax really well, you sleep much better the second night. Simply because you recognize, become familiar, and then you can ease. All your defense mechanisms are just let down, because it's your room, you know everything, it's safe, it's okay. And that's the same with stages in meditation as well. The present moment, you recognize it. You become so familiar with it, you're at ease with it, which means you don't disturb it anymore. You can relax and just let it be. So the first stage, though, is you have to recognize what we mean by present moment. You know, because I'm a meditator, been a monk a long time now, well, I think it's just obvious what the present moment was, but when I started teaching, I realized that people didn't know what I was talking about. What do you mean, present moment? What is that? And that was quite a shock to me. With so much in the past, the future, or fantasy land, very rarely are people actually being here. It was going somewhere. Always trying to achieve something. Again, going on to the next challenge, ticking the boxes, writing down notes. Instead of being here, you don't need really to take notes. It all goes in here. It all gets remembered. But we're always doing something. So, present moment awareness. And then we can go on to, you know, the next level. Please, when I say levels, don't think, oh yes, I've got to do present moment first. And once I've done that, Ajahn Brahm, how do I know when to go on to the next stage? That's wrong thinking, okay? You don't go on to the next stage. This is a very nice teaching to, again, in your language. You never go on to the next stage in meditation. You go in to the next stage. Just that little change of words makes a lot of difference. So here you are, you don't go on somewhere else. You don't move. You know, I don't sort of get up and move to the next seat, and then the next seat, and the next seat. Or, you know, the other way around, go closer to the Buddha. You don't move at all. You stay exactly where you are. You don't move, you don't do anything, and you go in. deeper into where you are. That's why it is an inward path, going in. Wherever you are right now, stay there, and you find you go in, 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 in. So actually you go into the present moment, really deeply into the present moment. And as you go in, and the present moment consolidates, gets just more full, what you find in the center of the present moment is silence. You can't think. And again, that also is something which is very rare for people, so much so that some people say, well, if you don't think, you're unconscious, you fall asleep. They've never known that state where you're fully aware, but not a thought is going on in your mind. Because awareness and consciousness is so associated with thinking for most people, they just cannot even imagine being conscious without thinking. But that state certainly exists, and if you haven't experienced it yet, you will soon. It's a state of perfect awareness. You're in the moment, you're mindful, but not a thought is going on in the mind. You're not discussing anything, you're not planning anything, you're not giving anything a name. You just are. So I usually do a little demonstration. I'll do this one again. I'll do it even better. Let's do a teddy bear. Oops. Okay. Now, this is my exercise. What is this? Who knows what this is? Teddy bear, yes. What else is it? What else? Soft toy, yes. What else? Come on, what else can you describe? Yes, what else? Yes, what else? Yeah, what else? 2 eyes, what else? What else? What else? Now, once you've finished with all the names, then you can start to see things. What happens, the way we've been taught to know reality, we put something up, we give it a name, teddy bear, and then we dealt with it, we go on to the next thing. This is not a teddy bear. It's much more than that. And when you just say teddy bear, that's thinking. That understanding is so superficial. When you see more of it, the longer you get all these names, white, fluffy, 2 eyes, 2 ears, maybe a foot tall, little tail in the back. Once you've got rid of all the names, then you can actually start seeing things. Seeing things you've never been taught. Names you've never been conditioned. Because all the names in this world, you look at any dictionary, it's so limited. And there are many things in this world you just don't have names for. Like, you know Chinese, there's some words in Chinese you don't have an English translation for. There's some words in English you don't have a Chinese equivalent. I know that in Pali, some of the Buddhist terms, it's just too hard. You can't find even a half-decent English translation for it. All the names and concepts are so limited. They only go so far. Because names are the signposts. But where they're pointing to is the most important. I will now give another demonstration. Okay, you've done your job. Thank you. Big round of applause for Teddy Bear. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, if I was the monk, they'd put me in some institution. Crazy guy. So now I want you to, okay, don't change your position, your posture, but close your eyes and just notice, be mindful of your reaction when I say this word. Peace. 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 Okay, that's enough. You can open your eyes now. I'm sorry to disturb you. Did you notice that when I said that word, afterwards, Your mind actually went in the direction of peace. You went looking for it. And I repeated it, and you went further into peace. And I repeated it, and the peace, you could actually feel it with your mind. See, all the word meant to do was to direct your mind. It was a signpost to your mind. Go over there. Peace is not the word. Peace is what the word is pointing to. And that's the trouble with thinking. We can think peace, we can have peace conferences, we can all talk about peace, we can argue about peace, we can fight a war over peace. We missed it. Because peace is not a word. It's what it points to. And there's all these other great emotions, just like kindness. You know, these words which people assume they know, I found out they haven't got a clue what kindness means. They assume they do. Kindness. 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 You'll only know what kindness is when you're silent, when the words stop, when you feel it. It's not a word, it's an emotion. And we've been so much in our head, so much talking, so much thinking, so much giving things names. We're just into signposts, that's all. And we never follow the signpost to where it's pointing to. But when you come to a place like this, after a while, you get it. The words are used sparingly. And then once the thoughts know of peace, have done their job, and you're right there with peace, you don't need to say the word anymore. The word has done its job. The thinking can stop now. It's finished its function. Unfortunately, these days, all we do is thinking. We never feel, we never see where those thoughts are leading to, what those thoughts describe. So this is how we work. This is one of my tricks, personal confessions on how I give talks. When it comes to compassion or even shipping or anything else, I don't think about it, I feel it. I get that word and let my mind go to where that's pointing. And when you go there, you've got this huge garden of truths and insights, and you take them back and translate them into thoughts. That's all wisdom really is. That's how it works. So, after a while, you start to look at the spaces between thoughts, or rather the space after a thought. When the thought is finished, peace. Then you feel the peace. And the great thing is, you don't need the thoughts anymore. They can stop. They don't stop because you tell them to stop. That's the problem with people when you say be silent. They try to be silent. Come on, shut up. Come on, I told you mind, shut up. Come on, be peaceful. How can I stop thinking? What should I do next? Come on, I'm going to stop thinking now. Have I stopped thinking yet? No. And it just becomes more and more thoughts when you try to stop thinking. It's the wrong way. Just whenever you have a thought, pause and see what its meaning is. That's a nice psychology trick which I teach people. If you got any person at work or in your family who always gets angry at you and always shouts at you, the problem is that as soon as they finish shouting, that you sort of speak up afterwards, saying, why do you do that to me? That's not nice to say such things. I look after this company so much, I work so hard. That never works. If someone gets angry at you and shouts at you, right in your face, you pause for a few seconds. Be silent. And give them the opportunity to really cognize what they've just said and the emotions behind it. It's for them. It gives them the few seconds for reflection. And for many people who shout at you, who get angry, they never have that opportunity to realize what they're doing. So if you pause when someone shouts and gets angry at you, it's so hard, it takes a lot of restraint, because you think, oh, I'm not going to let them get away with that. Just pause, be silent, peaceful, silent, and let them reflect on what they've done. A lot of time they'll just get red in the face and walk away. because they realize they've done the wrong thing, a very stupid thing. It's pauses for reflection. And usually the way we act, as soon as one person finishes and the other person starts talking, usually actually even worse than that, even before you start talking, somebody's butts in. You haven't even finished my sentence yet. So give people the pauses, the silence. And it's amazing what you can actually do with offering people silence for personal reflection of what they just said or done. And it also starts to encourage more silence in the mind. So you're not thinking anymore. You're not giving things names. No, look, I've known some of you a long time. Do I really know you? How can I know you? Do you know yourself? You've been with you much longer than I've ever known you. And how many know yourself? And how many of you every now and again get very surprised at what you do, what you say, and how you think? How can anyone describe you? You just can't. You can't give yourself a name. So often that happens, they give you a name. You're a monk. You're, a teacher. You're an abbot. That's not true. Much more than that. It's much more complicated than that. It's much deeper than that. So all these names business, I really distrust all of that. Just people trying to put you in a box and think once they've got you in a box, they've got you, they captured you, finished, deal over. And are you in a box? James, are you really a captain of an aircraft? It's usually on automatic control anyway, you don't do very much up there. That's what I read here. Your job is in deep trouble, because I heard that some of the new aircraft are so automated. What they actually said there is, all you'll need in the future is, in the cockpit, is one dog and one man. That's because it's all automated. The job of the man is to feed the dog, and the job of the dog is to bite the man if he touches anything. Or something like that. Because it's not totally automatic these days. It's much better than. So no, a lot of the thinking is the same, just to stop it. So after a while, we can go right into the present moment, and we are quiet. We find that there's more spaces between our thoughts as you meditate. And please notice the spaces between the thoughts. They're there naturally. However, if it is that you get into obsessive thinking, and you can't stop thinking, that I developed a method which is actually quite successful. And it's a hard method, but if you're really going crazy, it can work. And the method is it's called substitution by the Buddha. It's instead of thinking about all sorts of things, any old thing, and sometimes things which are driving you crazy, you substitute just a mantra, which is a group of words you say over and over and over to yourself. And there's many mantras you can use. I'm going to employ the old Vajrayana mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. How many people know what that means? Great. Because if you know what it means, you start thinking about it. If you don't know what it means, that's much, much, much better. So you don't know what it means. You keep repeating this nonsense to yourself over and over and over again. Things which you don't understand what the heck you're saying, but you keep on doing it. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Because that blocks out all these other thoughts. The other thoughts, they keep trying to come in, but Om Mani Padme Hum. So you do that for about a minute, or if you really are crazy, 2 minutes. And after 2 minutes, when a lot of the thoughts are just basically blocked out, then you start putting spaces between the syllables, between the words. Om, Mani, Padme, Hum, Om. And you pay a lot of mindfulness to that space between. And then the next minute, you lengthen the space. Om, Mani, Padme, Hum. If a thought comes up, close the space down. Go back to Om, Mani, Padme, Hum, Om, Mani, Padme, Hum. And gradually lengthen the spaces between the words. And as you lengthen the spaces between the words, it's very key to be aware of the space between the words and just how peaceful it is between the words and how delightful it is there. That is key for this thing working. Because what it means, after a while, the mind delights in that space so much. It's just too happy, too nice, it's too profound. That when a thought comes up, it just can't get a foothold inside of you. And the spaces get longer and longer. Om, Mani, Padme, Hum. You get very peaceful. Now that is encouraging you for the silence. And because mindfulness is the big thing these days, when people ask me, Ajahn Brahm, what is your explanation, definition, description of this thing which we call mindfulness? And I say it's present moment awareness and silence. If you're giving things a name, you're not really aware of them. You're putting them in a box and thinking you understand them, and it's false. When I give someone a name, it's not who you are. I'm not being aware of you. So, mindfulness, silence in the moment. And if that's all you ever get in this retreat, you'll be one happy Singaporean. You have so much joy in the present moment. And when this mind isn't disturbing you, there's so much to enjoy in this retreat center, so much to delight in. There's beautiful nature around you. And the mindfulness and silence means you are getting reasonably still. Your mind isn't moving that much. And that stillness increases the power, the strength of your awareness. You become more aware. And as you become more aware, again, the food tastes more delicious, the meditation is far more easy, and just even your bed is softer, and the pillow, oh, it's so nice. Even having a shower in the morning, the feeling of the water on your skin, it's sensuous. And the sunsets in the evening are gorgeous. Everything becomes beautiful. I'm not going to go into my toilet simile, because I do that every year. But because that's so well known, even during the 3 months range retreat here, one of the people on the retreat, when I was giving them an interview, they said, Ajahn Brahm, I wasn't looking in the toilet bowl, I was actually sitting on it, and one of the tiles, in the en-suites, it just was incredibly beautiful. And these are very cheap tiles. Where we got them from, there was actually a fire in the warehouse. And most of the tiles were damaged, and these were just like lot sale. You can take the damaged ones and the good ones together. That's where you got all the tiles in your toilets and showers from, all damaged. So they're not expensive at all, but she was looking at that, because she'd been meditating, she'd sit on the toilet seat. Not meditating on the toilet seat, she's meditating before. But why not? Let go, let go, let go. But she was sitting on there and just watching nothing else to look at except the tile. She said, it was absolutely beautiful, it was gorgeous. Just, this ceramic tile just came right out at her, and it was the most beautiful thing she ever saw. And I asked her, did you take it out and take it home with you? She said, no, it's still there. I left it there for you. But that's actually what happens. And that is part of the joy of a meditation retreat, when those things happen to you. That makes me very happy, because yes, you're getting there. Mindfulness gets so strong, you start getting happiness. The happiness in meditation. And when people start getting that, it just makes me really happy. Yes, you're on the way. And you can get happy in such silly things like a toilet tile. the ceramic tile in the toilet. Let alone if you go and just find a flower somewhere, because it's the wildflower season now. So they've got these Australian flowers. They're really small, but incredibly beautiful. You know, some of the flowers from Europe, they're really big things and are quite gross. But these are very subtle. They're hiding in the forest, and they're really gorgeous. And you start to see those. And often you see on a retreat people just bending over, looking at the... We're looking at, look at that flower, it's incredibly gorgeous. That's not a flower, that's a weed. Who cares? It's gorgeous, and that's good enough. So the nice thing is that, you know, you're starting to open up your mind. And with the increasing mindfulness, present moment awareness and silence, you get very joyful. Always go in. Now you see, this method of meditation, it's certainly within your grasp, you can do this. And it's not going, now I can watch the breath, now I go and do vipassana, now I go and do this, now I go and do that. That is a problem with meditation. That is why you haven't done it yet. Because it's more doing, more stuff to achieve, more of the same in your life. That's why you get stressed out. Here, you don't go anywhere. Stay where you are, being. More fully being, really getting into being. Just being here, not going anywhere. And then you find you get very, very deep and very happy. And that's the next side of mindfulness. The mindfulness, if it really is getting strong, is energetic and joyful. You don't put energy into it, it comes naturally. Which means, I will warn you, the first few days here you sleep a lot. When you really get into this, you can hardly sleep at all. And it's really weird. You know, people go back to their room, 9 o'clock, after the questions and answers, or if they stay here a bit longer, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12, I should go to bed now. They go to bed, can't sleep. That means you don't need to sleep. Your mind is energized. Sleep is just the reason for the mind or the brain to actually rest, and so it can sort of get some energy back again. But if you're not thinking all day, you know nothing much to rest. So you just, if that happens to you, no need to come up, Ajahn Brahm, I never slept all night, this is terrible. It's not as good. You know, you've got an extra few hours on your life. 4 hours and 6 hours, 7 hours, I don't know how long you sleep. What a waste of a life that is. You can catch up on sleeping when you get old. Or even better, when you're dead. When you're in your coffin, you can sleep as much as you like. As long as it's natural. So if that does happen to you, go onto your bed and just lay down to relax the body and just carry on meditating there. What do you mean meditate? Just be in the present moment. Be silent and enjoy. Because that state is usually very pleasant. It's only if you want to go to sleep or think you should go to sleep, I must go to sleep. If I don't go to sleep, I will miss the morning chanting. You got full permission to do your own morning chanting in your room. That's what most people's morning chanting is. So you don't need to come here and breakfast. But quite frankly, if you get into these nice states of meditation, breakfast and lunch, you just, even for Singapore, you don't bother with it. Meditation is much nicer, more delightful. So who cares? Miss breakfast, miss lunch, I don't care. I'm having too good a time. So you get the mindfulness, present moment awareness and silence, you start getting energy up, you start getting happy. You know, sometimes you don't really need to sleep, but rest, lay down, so the body gets rested. And when you're rested, remember, do the relaxation, just look at your body and see which part you can relax the most. And you relax so deeply. And more deeply than if you go for a massage. Sometimes, actually, when I was one of those executive retreats, I think Angie or a few people, or Beta, you forced me to have a foot massage. So this guy came in and gave me a foot massage. And it was a total waste of money. Honestly, it's very kind of you. I did that because, you wanted to make some good karma. I could relax my own feet, thank you. I know how my body works. You just think of it. You think of a toe. And you visualize it and feel it. And you just give all this loving kindness. And you imagine the toe relaxing, opening out, becoming so soft, just like cotton. And you can do that for a few minutes as a monk, because you really got into this, and your toe becomes incredibly relaxed. That toe over there is just so chilled out. So this is actually what you can do when you have mindfulness and silence. And I say you can do that to any part of your body. And you can really get some good health. Because that's a big problem for people. I understand that we have all these sicknesses which we have to deal with in life. And I was actually shocked. I must admit, it was quite shocking for me when years and years ago in, I think, the Singapore General Hospital, I went to visit someone in the cancer ward. And they didn't know exactly which ward it was, so we went after ward, after ward, after ward, after ward, after ward, after ward, after ward. How many people are in this hospital with cancer? Huge amount. I think, my crikey, just so many people being sick. Can't we do something about that? You're doing something about it now. Relaxing your body. Learning how to be mindful, to be aware. Knowing what you need to do. I think I was telling someone in interview time, it's a very long time since I've been really sick. Actually, it's usually a really, really long time. But whenever, sometimes I'm aware enough of my own body, I live in this body, I'm very, very aware of it. And if something's wrong somewhere, I feel it pretty quickly. And sometimes all I do, if I possibly can, it's hard to do sometimes, but I try my best, just to go into my cave and lay down, have a rest. So I lay down in my bed on the floor, and I relax my body just so deeply, go into a sleep, you come up afterwards and you feel so good. And I'm sure that I've dealt with so many sicknesses and diseases in my life as a monk using that very simple method. Because your mindfulness, your present moment awareness and silence can relax things. But imagine you got some sort of a lump somewhere. You think, oh my goodness, this is a cancer, this is going to go terrible, this is really bad, what am I going to do? Oh, this is terrible. And you realize, not a lump, that's just a nipple on. Every man got that as well, it's nothing bad. I make this up as I go along. So I remember that somebody said there was a TV series, I think a long time ago, and some rich guy, he went to see the doctor and he said, something's wrong with me, doctor, what's wrong with you? I've got all this liquid coming out of my body. And the doctor said, that's sweat. Oh, what's that? He's a rich guy, hadn't made, never had to do any work in his life. And when he actually did some work and he started to sweat, he thought it was some disease. Some people are so unaware. So anyway, when you can be mindful and aware, it's amazing just what you can do, with your body, and also just with some of the things which occur in your life. And especially that at this time of the year in Australia, next month they have these really important school exams. It's the end of the school year. So now all the kids are coming up. Ajahn Brahm, I got my year 12s, the university entrance examinations. What should I do? Relax. How do I relax? This is important. Present moment awareness and silence. Because that's an investment, it's worthwhile doing. And most of the kids are wise enough to know the reason they fail is because they tense up, they think too much, and they get tired. If you're going to do an examination, you need full mental brain power. You need to be at your peak, have a full tank if you're going to go on a long journey in a car. And imagine you spend all night worrying. Imagine you get up in the morning and keep reading the books. The information is in there. Your brain needs to relax, and so it gets up to full energy, to full power, so that when you get into the examination room, you can perform well. And that I learned that even as a student. When I went to Cambridge, I learned how to meditate, and that's how I dealt with my final examination, the final examination story, which was a powerful experience because And I didn't realize, at first, just how practical, this meditation is. And that was in 1972. Just going back to my room at lunch hour, not having anything to eat, sitting down on my seat, present moment awareness, first of all. Because as soon as I sat down, the first thing which came into my mind was my early morning exam, the morning exam. How did I do? You've ever done that? You've had an exam and you start looking back, what did I do? Was that right? Was that wrong? I had an interview. How did I go? I should have said something else. That's past. It's gone. You can't change it. Good or bad, it's finished. And just how useless it is to keep dwelling on the past. I know that some people say, oh, but you learn from the past. You learn a tiny bit. You learn much more from the present moment than from the past. And so that's my counter. You learn from now, when life as it's actually happening. Not from some memory of a past, but as it's really working, happening right now. This is where you learn. This is where you become enlightened. Now. So when you go to the past, you're sacrificing the source of wisdom where you can really learn. You learn from the present moment, not from the past. So I was just quiet. The present moment, no past. And the future examination. Yeah, it was so easy to worry, oh God, have I done enough research? Have I done enough studies? What's going to come up in the afternoon examination? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that you're wasting your energies, by worrying. And if I'd wasted those energies, when I went into the afternoon examination, I would have been exhausted, like many people are before they have to perform. They're so tired because they've been worrying about things. That is counterproductive. You're worrying because you want to do well, and all that worrying is causing you not to do well. So you stop it all. I stopped all the future, stopped all the past, present moment awareness for half an hour during the exams. How brilliant that was. And that meant I could relax. And this, sometimes you're not really sure of what your body is up to, because my body was shaking, and that really shocked me. I never thought of myself as a nervous person. But this was high stress, not the normal type of stress, final examinations. And because you were high stressed, you were shaking. But as soon as I noticed that, then I could calm it down. What concerned me was I hadn't noticed it, I just was not aware of it. And many of us are not aware of what's happening in our body. We're so busy doing things, going somewhere, we're not here enough to know how our body feels, what's going on. That is the reason why we get sick. We're not here to listen to our body. I read a review of a book by a doctor on cardiac problems, on heart attacks. It was called Opening the Door of Your Heart. No, that wasn't. Well, that was actually true. Somebody told me they were in, I think, Adelaide, and they were looking for my book in the bookshop, Opening the Door of Your Heart, and they couldn't find it. So they asked the attendant in the bookshop, and the bookshop owner or attendant, they went in their catalogues, oh, it's over here. Medical section. Surgery, cardiac. Someone had taken the title, Opening the Door of Your Heart, and it was on heart surgery. True story. So anyway, go back into, where was I? About... Sorry? Yeah, the book, no, before that. No, before that. Anyway, about doing my exams. It's just actually being aware of heart attacks, that's right. In this book, it's, this doctor said that you don't get a massive heart attack out of nowhere. He said, no, the physiology, your heart gives you many, many, many warnings, first of all. But the problem is we're not aware. We don't notice them. It's only when the big one comes, that's the first time we notice there's something wrong. It's a bit late then. And so we're saying, if people just become more aware of their body, how it feels, what's happening with it, they would have far, far, far better health. Even sometimes, and I'm saying this because, there's a lot of people who have breast cancer problems, in the modern world, this is a big problem for women. How many people is it? Is it 20%, 30% or something will have breast cancer as women? It's a devastating, if you know it's 3 out of 10 chance that's going to happen to me, that would be really scary stuff. So let's actually do something about it. How you do something about it is you're aware. And when I teach this method to people here in Australia, they get very excited. You can actually be aware of your breasts. Feel them. And if you have that mindfulness and awareness, there are times when you know there's something wrong there. You can feel there's some imbalance. You're sensitive enough. And all you need to do, so simple, just put your attention down there, give it some energy, some kindness, and you feel it get warm, you feel it start to sort of relax, open out. So many people through that method have stopped their incipient cancers, just when they were just probably not detectable by any machine. Detectable by you because you're aware, mindful of your own body. And because of that, you can help yourself enormously. And out of compassion, you don't want to have so many people sick, but not only out of compassion, out of selfishness as well. Because, it takes a lot of time visiting you guys over in hospital. So out of selfishness, I can keep you healthy for a long time. But it actually does work, this mindfulness and this awareness, but it's present moment awareness and silence. So you have to build that up. Train yourself not to be afraid of silence. Even speaking to other people, it's okay to be silent. Doesn't mean you're stupid. If someone says, "What do you think about that?" Nothing. You're stupid. Okay, but I'm happy. So you don't always need to think. You don't always have to have an opinion. You don't always have to have an answer. In fact, it's one of my favorite sayings of the Buddha was, "It is the great rivers which flow silently. It is the small streams which make all the noise." So what do you want to be in life? A great river or a small stream? Lovely little saying from the Buddha. So that great river inside the mind, let it flow silently. When you are silent, when you're not talking back at the world, then you can hear what the world has to teach you. But when you're always talking, when your mind is not listening, in other words, it's too much thought, how on earth can you get wise? So today's instruction is how. Thank you very much. Silence. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, so have a great